Well, what I'll tell you, Iman, is that she captured many Capetonians who gathered at the NG Grote Kerk here in Cape Town with her lecture. And we saw a number of standing ovations, her drawing parallels between the struggles that South Africa endured during apartheid and colonialism and the struggles that the Palestinians are currently going through. And as you mentioned, applauded the stance of South Africa, but also what South Africa has done thus far, taking Israel to the ICJ and saying that more needs to be done and that it needs to be a collaborative effort. Also looking at the various states and governments, what more they can do to play their part in ultimately freeing Palestinians. But I am joined by Reverend Allan Boesak. Thank you so much for your time. Quite interesting, Francesca, drawing the parallels between what is currently happening in Gaza or Palestine and what has happened in South Africa, and even in, or rather looking at the genocide between the Hutsis and the Tutsis.
Yeah, well, those are the connections that need to be made. Now, we didn't have a genocide in, let me say, modern South Africa, but in the beginning of our colonization period, one of the first genocides that happened was the genocide of the Khoi and the San. And she connected not that, but she connected the struggle of Palestinians with the genocide in Namibia, which is true, and in Rwanda, to make sure that what happened with Jewish people in Germany that is always talked about, always lifted up as the one exception and that nothing else matters, to make sure that that is placed within a historical context that makes sense. And I am so happy that you did raise that point.
I mean, we can't ignore what happened yesterday, the attempt to serve legal documents to her. Your reaction to that?
I think it's absolutely scandalous. I do not know who is responsible for that, but I have noticed that from the ministry there has come an immediate apology, and I hope there is an investigation to find out who is responsible, who is the person who drew up the papers and on whose orders, because this kind of thing cannot happen. My strong feeling is that this, amongst other things, shows how deep the reach of Zionist power is even within our government departments. And that is the kind of thing that should not be tolerated by South Africans. Our sovereignty, our authority, our authenticity as government has been undermined more than enough by the Zionist lobby and by our inability to give consequence to our actions before the ICJ. And so this thing needs to be done very quickly, very publicly, and so that we can say that the apology is backed up by some action.
I mean, I can't, or rather some of the things that she said was that there's been many churches that have become recruiting grounds to resist freeing Palestine. Your reaction to that?
Oh, she's absolutely right. There are many churches in Africa who have been planted here by people from the United States. They get their money from the US, and it's that kind of white nationalist imperialistic Christianity that uses what we call the theology of Christian Zionism, which has got nothing to do with the gospel, which is an absolute betrayal of the gospel. And like the theology of apartheid, justifying genocide, justifying occupation, justifying the oppression, justifying dispossession and land theft, it is like we did with the theology of apartheid. It must be called a travesty of the gospel, it must be called a heresy, it must be called idolatry and blasphemy. And that is what we are working towards in the churches. But she's absolutely right that the churches, in accepting that kind of theology, is accepting something that is totally alien to the Bible, and that is that the second coming of Jesus must be precipitated by the extermination of the Palestinians, and that is what we call the blasphemy here.
Francesca has received quite a warm welcome, not only in Cape Town but also in Johannesburg, drawing a large number of people to her lectures. Looking at the mobilization at grassroots levels and the protest that you have joined, what do you make out of the direction that ordinary South Africans are taking?
Ordinary South Africans are clear. They are on the right side of history. We as a people are better than our government in all of this. And it reinforces the fact that it is people power from the ground up that will put enough pressure on governments to do what is right. We cannot let government decide on its own when it is convenient, when there is not enough money involved or where there is too much money involved, actually, for them to take action where they profit from genocide and profit from the dispossession of the Palestinians. It is up to the people, and so that's why I once again today emphasize that it is the people that must set the pace, it is the people that must set the standard, it is the people that must make sure that things happen with regard to Palestine.
Last question. She spoke of international law, that it is the last resort for peaceful resolution. You're now bringing in government. What more can be done? I mean, we've heard the talk and the motion in Parliament a couple of years ago to dissolve the embassy of Israel in South Africa.
I know. I mean, everything that we have proposed, from the closing of the embassy to the breaking of trade relations to economic ties to the implementation of BDS, we have a bill that we propose to government that they have not even acted on. It sits in Parliament, nobody acts on it, which to me says now two things. Not only must the people continue the pressure, but we need to find ourselves and elect ourselves a government who will be responsive to these righteous issues. The government that we have now, this government of national unity, is controlled by the Zionists. They have no courage, they have no vision, they have no principle, they have no way of going forward, and they are dragging us down with them. So my final solution is actually get rid of this government. We elect a government that is more responsive not only to the will of the people, but to what is right in history, and we should do that as soon as possible.
Thank you so much, Reverend Allan Boesak. Thank you so much for your time. Reverend, they're making a call to South Africans, and this falls at the backdrop of the lecture here in Cape Town. There has been a call from ordinary South Africans to play their part in ensuring that they work hand in hand with other states to freeing the people of Palestine.
Well, Sipi Samia, thank you very much. Live there for us at Francesca Albanese's event in Cape Town.